according to the Wall Street Journal, SPACs, these special purpose acquisition corporations, right? That's what it stands for, I believe. The last year, or so far this year, have generated something like 20 billion, have generated something like $38 billion in capital already this year. IPOs have generated under 20 billion. That's a lot more. Last year, SPACs outraised IPOs by about 6 billion. So just a little bit more last year. So here's the question, guys. Is this the threshold of a massive sea change in the way companies go public? I want you to take the over under, Jamal. SPACs are going to outraise IPOs over the next 10 years.
I'm taking the over, and I don't even think it's going to be particularly close. I mean, first of all, if you're looking at sort of movement, you can sort of tell by now, and just the pure amount of mania that's going on sort of in the space. With, I believe you have, even former administration officials, celebrities, everybody's doing a SPAC. I do think this is an opportunity, and I know I'm going to sound like a regulation boo bird here, but I do believe it's an opportunity, or we should look at how these are allowed to come to market and what are the terms and the marketing that they can have around these SPACs, because these loose sort of undefined rules could really hurt the growth of it sort of in the future. So getting some rules of the road here could really help it in the future. But to answer your question succinctly, not even close. It'll be SPACs.
So you're saying it's going to be IPOs?
That's right. IPOs for the
win. Danny, what do you think? Again, 10 years out, SPACs are going to outraise IPOs.
I'm going to take the over as well. I think SPACs are going to outraise IPOs. I'm going to go with Jamal here. I want to say, though, there's always the opportunity that something could change over the next few years. But I like his use of the word mania, because I think there's quite a bit of that going on. And if you look at the fact that, when SPACs hit the market, the valuations are already ridiculous at the offering price. And then you look at the first day jumps, and they jump, the lower ones are jumping 20%. The ones that are even more in demand, they triple, they go up 100% or 200% in a day. It's ridiculous. I think we've got a lot of novice investors in the market, and I think that's drumming up a lot of interest. But I also think that this is another way for folks to bring a company to market where they don't have to rely so much on the call that the investment bank is making on how they should price their shares. So that means they're hoping that they're going to leave less money on the table. Thus far, that's not what has happened. They think they're smarter than the average bear, but then, the turnaround and the stock doubles the first day out of the gate. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of momentum behind SPACs right now. I read the other day that Colin Kaepernick is going to, put together an ESG SPAC, and other celebrities. So I think this is going to be, the big trend, at least for the next couple of years. A decade down the road, I think SPACs are going to be more universally used than they are now.
I just want to start a SPAC to remodel my kitchen. Can I do that? If I identify that as the business purpose, I think that's the SEC would let me do that. I think. I don't know if anybody invests in it, but it's worth trying, right?
I still like the Tim Sparks idea of doing the wrap SPAC.
That could have legs. We have some great ideas here. Execution's not always the best, but we have some great ideas. But I guess that's part of the story of SPACs, right? Great ideas, execution's questionable. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm not sure if I want to say yes, SPACs are going to outraise IPOs or not. And the reason actually ties to the next thing we're going to talk about here is that you still see the big companies with proven revenues with real cash flows, they IPO, right? I think Roblox is going to buck the trend and they're going to direct list. It makes sense,
right? If you're an established company with a large and that's going to come to market at a very sort of high market capitalization. You want that support from the investment banks, right? You want sort of the add-on features, like somebody's going to provide you stock coverage, and that's generally, somebody's going to provide you price support for the first couple of days, which really helped Facebook on that first day, if you guys remember, a long time ago. So what I think you're going to see is a lot of smaller companies come via SPAC. When I say smaller, I'm under 10 billion perhaps, maybe even more. But then sort of those big large ones that come to market are probably going to continue to go via IPO. So if you're talking about, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think what it's going to come down to is investor appetite, right? So I mean, just thinking, for instance, the EV space, right? Electric vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, all of that space. There has been tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars invested in this space into so many pre-revenue companies that it's inevitable that there's going to be a lot of money that gets burned, right? A lot of
speculative.
What's that? That's the thing. I mean, there's so much of it that's speculative, right? So I think at the end of the day, at what point does investor appetite change enough to move beyond the SPACs, where even if maybe that we see more companies go public via SPAC than we do IPO, but the IPO companies are just raising a larger number of dollars, right? So I think that's what we're going to see, kind of some of the shift over time. So we'll see how it plays out.